Dear investors, festival season has been good. Economy continues to normalize. We saw strong demand in the festival season, pent-up demand. People had not bought, people had not gone out for a length of time, and savings over the same past period helped festive season sales. Record sales were witnessed in several categories like autos, premium phones, dishwashers, washing machines, etc. Final numbers will come out, but that's the sense we are getting just now. Even clothing, a discretionary category, very much impacted by COVID, saw very good sales. In some categories, while there was demand, there was no supply, and that points to sustained buoyancy in sales going forward as well. Stores have reported a 10% plus growth on a YOY basis, so festival season to festival season growth, and online sales have been even more robust. So all in all, a good festival season. GDP numbers for quarter 2 should be out soon and are expected to be 7 to 8% degrowth. GST numbers point to the same. July and August GST collections were 14% and 11% lower, while September GST collections were 4% higher. Then last year, September was the first month of growth. Now, the average over the last 3 months is 7%, and so I do believe we could see a degrowth number in the same region. Now, given the strong festival season sales that have been reported across categories, there is a chance that Q3 could deliver a significant growth in GDP over Q3 of last year. This is a better trajectory versus what was anticipated, wherein earlier people thought quarter 4 will be the first growth quarter. In fact, even RBI has noticed this and has made a comment on similar lines. COVID vaccines happily continue to make rapid progress over the past period. Both Pfizer and Moderna reported strong results for their vaccines, close to or over 95% success in disease prevention. India's own Covaxin is also entering phase 3 trials. We do expect to see vaccine to be made available sometimes in quarter 2 next year to the masses. So while it is something to cheer about, still for next 6-7 months, one needs to take care. India continued to see COVID cases decline. The number of actives continued to decline. However, we should expect to see a second wave after the festival season, because during the festival season, people did have increased contact with each other. In the West also, we are seeing an increase in cases. There is a difference this time versus last time when lockdowns were the weapon of choice against COVID. This time around, we do believe that lockdowns would be the last resort, given the economic impact. Delhi is seeing a strong upsurge in cases, and there again, what is being talked about is a night curfew, and something similar is being discussed for Mumbai as well. I think policymakers are cognizant of the fact that once the economy is derailed, it takes a lot to bring it back on track. We continue to be hence optimistic on the economic recovery. These things take a life of their own. Just think of it this way, that in festival season, if record productions were made in various categories, that could have been achieved only with people coming back on the jobs. And if record sales were achieved, then that too would have been achieved only with people getting back on the sales jobs. So, and these guys who would now be getting incomes would now carry the baton forward. While this was happening, policy environment continued to be growth-inducing and supportive. In the wake of COVID, even before, government has been focusing on the economy. After COVID, the focus has definitely increased to kickstart the economy. We continue to see selective import duty increases as per the stated policy. The favorite scheme, of the moment, the PLI scheme is now being rolled out in electronics. Already the thing has been bidded out. The winners have been announced, and it is now getting extended to various other industries. So earlier, this scheme was expected only for electronics and chemicals, but now a slew of new industries would get the benefit. And we do believe this is because of the strong response the government has got for this scheme. Government provided a further round of stimulus, and Provident Fund subsidies were extended for new hires for designated size of companies. RBI also contributed. It's brought out a discussion paper for getting larger NBFCs to convert to banks, and also allowing higher promoter stakes of up to 26% versus 15% at the present. Taking care of a big worry for the NBFC promoters at the moment. Pathway for conversion of payment banks into small bank was also discussed, and that's a positive. Also, more recently, in the month of October, RBI reduced the risk weight for housing to 35% if the LTV is 80% or lower, which is allowing for a further reduction in lending rates in this segment. This is a large segment of the economy. An uptick here has a multiplication effect on the economy itself. To aid the segment further, Government of Maharashtra reduced stamp duty rates. And after that, even while the COVID situation has been there, housing sales in Mumbai, MMR region have been strong over the past few months. The number of registries have shown a strong growth over the same period of last year. Just a comment on the US elections. That's happened while the winner is still to be announced. We do believe Biden will become the new president. The outcome seems to be favorable for increased government spending. That's the slant of position of the winning group. But at the same time, one should expect increase in income taxes as well. Given the split nature of the verdict, something that the market feared, that was significantly higher taxes related to the equity markets. Chances now are that those taxes would remain at previous levels. So, markets cheered the election results on that count. Moreover, there is a chance of another economic stimulus, maybe to handhold people who are again suffering from the COVID situation. These steps are positive for growth and hence for commodity prices. Any government stimulus would help gold prices as well. We have seen that in the past. On oil, which is again something which influences India, the new dispensation may be more positive towards Iran. Maybe some bit more of its oil would flow to the market. While may frown on fracking, we do believe overall the balance would tilt more in favor of supplies, and the oil prices could remain soft going forward as well. In the next section, let's look at flows. This time we have developed this section to be slightly longer in more detail. November has been an all-time record month for FPI interest. Ever for the country, many things have happened. MSCI increased India weight in its global emerging market index to 8.7 from 8.1. That's a substantial increase. And this increase in weight could result in a passive flow of over $2.5 billion. Now, come to think of it, why? Because this is a weight increase and a meaningful one at that. Even active funds, who work on tracking error-based risk controls, would have to recognize the change and allocate more for the country, and one should expect sizable flows in India from even active managers. Now, 87% of FPI flows into the country are from non-India dedicated active managers, where this change in the index would make an impact. So we may be seeing that in the month of November itself. Last few days have been strong in terms of FPI flows. The strength coincided with the increase in India weightage in the index, and it could continue into December as well, while December is usually a slack season for flows on account of year-end holidays. If we compare India with other countries, other emerging market countries, the consistency with which we have seen FPI flows is significantly higher versus others. Moreover, there is another trend that we have seen. Sectors which were shunned by the FPIs before, such as banks and NBFCs, have again found favor. As the economy has normalized and the fear of the NPAs have receded. While by sector rotation, maybe consumers have seen money outflowing. Currently, banks are the single largest overweight position for FPIs in the country. At the same time, while flows have been strong, the IPO and the QIP market has dried up. UTI was the last large issue, and maybe a Gland Pharma, which has happened this month. But the pipeline for large issuance is weak just at the moment, and the increased flows hence are being absorbed in the secondary market, providing some amount of impetus to the secondary market momentum that we are witnessing. Now, the strong FPI secondary market flows are already setting off a chain reaction, and it could continue. What happens is foreign money comes in, buys stuff off domestics, who would then use the bulk of the money to buy something else. So we do believe as this thing happens, the breadth of the market should remain good. And this is one point that we believe would happen. This would increase the ability of active managers to generate alpha going forward, something that's been scarce in the year till date. Domestic flows have been negative, and even November has seen strong domestic selling, and overall numbers hence when they come out would point to outflows. For the past 5 months ending October, outflows have been quite consistent across most large categories on the mutual fund side. More importantly, value strategies, dividend yield, contra kind of strategies clearly seem to be out of favor, with outflows even on a yearly basis. That is seen in the stock price direction as well. And we do see some of the cheaper names constantly getting cheaper, some manner explained by the flows that we have been seeing. However, domestic non-institutional flows remain strong, and we do believe this could continue going forward as well. December is a month, coming down to how do we see the future. December is a month where institutional activity is muted. This year it could be a tad better than usual because of the MSCI changes, but yet more muted versus November. And that could give market a good reason to consolidate. We do believe that's a good outcome before the start of Q3 season, which is again expected to be a strong quarter given the good festive season sales that we have witnessed. We had expected that. We had talked about that in the last video when we said that this time around all of the festivals are clubbed in Q3, and hence Q3 numbers had a great chance to be significantly better than same period last year. Just to spend some time on quarter two numbers and building the expectations for financial 21 and 22. The start of the result season was strong, and we had noticed that in the last month's video. Usually, as more names deliver results, the strength reduces. But this time around, the strength continued through the result season. This season has ended with the largest delta in profits over expectations in a very long while. Cement, banks, healthcare, and metals delivered strong YOY growth. Capital goods, infrastructure, and retail lagged as expected. But overall, the season delivered a 17% growth for Nifty versus a degrowth expectation at the beginning of the season. Even broader universe delivered close to a 15% growth if we take the high quality, high growth space. The strong growth in profits has been delivered because of significant control on wage expense. So they are up, but up just about 4 to 5% over last year, and a strong degrowth in other expenses. So anything which was related to travel, conferences, etc., would have been cut, and that's resulting in a strong degrowth in other expenses. Now, the strong result season is helping move up index EPS expectations for financial 21 and 22. Financial 21 is now expected to deliver close to 10% growth to the index EPS and be around 490 versus 444 kind of a number for financial 20. And financial 22 could deliver another 30% growth to around 650 levels. Now, we had worked with 550 EPS number for the Nifty for financial 22, but now we would also improve that number to 600 and work with that number. So while markets are at a high, it's seconded, it's supported by strong earnings momentum as well, which has improved the outlook into the future as well. How are valuations, and what are the prospects of alpha generation going forward? Now, over the past few months, we have been sharing a consistently positive view, pointing to the fact that economy has been recovering and markets have been moving in lockstep. So, as economy recovered, markets also recovered with it. And if quarter 3 is expected to be positive, more importantly, quarter 2 delivered a strong EPS increase, and quarter 3 could do similar or better, markets need to be reflective of that and sustain current valuations, or in fact even move a tad higher. This has happened. Markets are now 4-5% over the earlier highs. We still continue to believe that index valuations are defendable. As said earlier, there is an improvement on EPS expectations overall for financial 21 and 22 by, let's say, 5% versus pre-result period, and that really supports the uptick in the indices just now. Coupled with the fact that liquidity remains good, interest rates remain low, and of course, the global flows that we are seeing just now are the highest that we have seen ever. While index could consolidate and may still have some upside, we really believe it is time to generate alpha. We have seen some bit of it happening already in the month of November, wherein the performances, generally speaking, have been significantly stronger versus the index. alpha opportunities are rising because two large spaces in the index, let's say the Reliance, which is 15-16% of the index, and the ITPs, which is another 15%, so overall over 30% of the index, had seen a strong re-rating over the past few months and could now consolidate. And other part could be expected to catch up as the economy normalizes, and that should provide alpha opportunities. Many spaces such as consumer discretionary and financials could deliver stronger earnings growth. So as money follows growth, we could see these spaces deliver better returns versus the other spaces. Once again, increasing the chances of alpha delivery by fund managers. The point that we made before, that strong flows by FPIs would help domestic investors churn portfolio, should keep the breadth of the market good, and that again should help alpha generation. What have we done? We in our portfolios have introduced companies over the last period which are strong beneficiaries of government policies, and have also continued to increase financials while reducing consumers. That's been our thought. Thank you. Happy investing.